Yeah, I'm tempted to say that actually the difference is not as big as people might expect, because in my life as a head of design of companies like Volvo, of course, the main thing that you strive for and drive is to have an idea, a vision about the future, about a new model, about the brand, and really work each and every day to realize it and make it happen in reality. To have that vision and that idea is actually opposite of people think. It's the smaller part of the amount of work that it takes them to actually put it into reality. And it's very similar as a CEO of Polestar, to have that brand, that company, and drive it to, delivering cars to customers, to develop it into that brand that we have the vision. It takes us simply day after day, week after week, to strive for it, work together with the colleagues in making it happen, and giving that kind of permanent push and questioning again and again, is it good enough, the solution that we have yet? That is not so different. What I miss, and of course going to the design studio and just having a coffee break there and to look at the future models, that I sometimes miss. Having said that, I still spend some days, like Fridays afternoon, I'm always in a design center together with Max, our head of design, and we are doing our round and work on the cars and on the models for the future.
Is Polestar going to be a sporty brand?
Well, Polestar indeed by origin is a company that's born in racing. We did mode tuning, software tuning, and of course our new cars are cars for drivers who enjoy driving and like that type of response of the chassis, of how you sit in a car. That's what we strive for. It's not striving for the 0.2 and be the fastest here and there. It's about being really, really holistic in the approach of how you build a sporty car. And that, of course, is one of the brand's differentiators that sets us apart from a brand like Volvo. Not only the design, establishing your own design language, but as well the attribute of the car, how it feels, how it performs. That, of course, will be a distinguished Polestar sporty impression.
In Norway, it's good advantage to be associated with Volvo.
Yeah, it is indeed a very good base to see that the reputation and the affection, the Volvo is a brand that is all over the world liked and loved, and people have a very high respect for the achievements that Volvo made when it comes to safety. Building on that, being associated with this is definitely a big advantage for Polestar.
And quality.
And quality, indeed, knowing how to put a car with really good quality into production. And then again, the Nordic lifestyle, Scandinavian values here in Norway, in Sweden, in Denmark, really the idea about a healthy lifestyle, living in harmony with nature. It is indeed, I would call it not trendy, it is something that the world is actually looking for, and not only Scandinavian design, but as well the whole values about a sustainable lifestyle. Indeed, the whole world is looking at how Scandinavian, the Nordic countries are really portraying that successfully.
And that brings us over to CO2. That Polestar are taking a very clear and maybe bold position in the car manufacturers, among the others, that you want that transparency.
If you look at, if you truly strive for sustainability in mobility, then you cannot just simply stop with saying, oh, now we have an electric car, that's it. The electric car is an enabler of a sustainable mobility, but it is still a complex thing that we have to solve with building a car that comes out of the factory with as low as possible, and of course we strive for zero carbon footprint in its production. Materials going into the car, the materials that the suppliers bring, and as well how we operate the factory, but then as well in the usage when the customer is driving this car. Clearly, this is deeply anchored in the organization. I have to say that we have incredible, strong, powerful ambassadors within the company, in R&D, and in PR, everywhere where there is this thought deeply anchored. And that is part of our business. It is not. It is clearly not an opposite idea to being a successful company. Taking that serious, implementing the strive for a company that is going towards zero emissions is an enabler for us to be a successful company. The future of the whole industry will be about going that route. I think the only thing that we are doing is we recognize that a little bit earlier than others and made that immediately part of building up the company. Interior materials changing, not being the traditional materials anymore, but really working with innovative materials. It's a joy and a fun to do that as a designer, but as well giving meaning to the new product that you do. I mean, it's not just making a car pretty, it's about promoting, the way how our society will strive for living in harmony with the planet. That is something that gives meaning to us creating beautiful products. And true design was never about just making something pretty, styling. It was always about making a meaningful product for society, promoting new innovation that brings us forward. So it's really design at its best to do it now with the sustainable thinking.
What does the Polestar different than other car manufacturers for the customer?
Well, the difference for the customer, what do you actually get with the Polestar Special? There are two levels to it. There are the individual features, like us coming out here for the first time with a Google Android system in there and really having this ease of use. Now, we were the first ones implementing it. We are the first ones who really bring to that extent sustainable materials into the eye of the customer and into the car. And then again, bringing design to a level where we say, okay, this is not about making a special EV car. This is about bringing the uttermost modern car design out there. Yes, it's an electric vehicle, but it's generally the most advanced design that we're promoting here. So it's a design-driven company with beautiful cars that you share values that the modern customer is striving for, where you indeed don't, do just greenwashing, but really substantially work on making your personal transportation in a sustainable way. I think that is what customers like and search as well in the brand of Polestar, somebody who takes that question serious.
Do you think that can be a slap in the face back when you're telling openly that we are far from clean?
Your CO2 sum becomes better than driving a combustion engine car. So clearly an EV is a better solution. Having said that, we can still do better. And of course, the lower the carbon footprint is that is created whilst producing this EV, the better it is for the environment. So our strive is to get even better months after months in order to lower that initial carbon footprint.
What is the biggest problem to get lower emissions at production?
when you look into the materials going into an EV, there are three main areas where big improvements can be done. And this is of course with steel, the aluminum and the battery. These are big blocks which in a way will not be easy to immediately quickly solve it, but the path forward, the technology is not unknown. There is a way how you can achieve that. So over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, this will be tackled. Then you have let's say the other half, the other 50%, there it gets more difficult. And indeed there are areas where by today's standard and knowledge, we even don't have a solution yet. Nobody has a solution yet. But of course the idea is innovation will go forward and innovation will accelerate. And of course we should not be naive and think we will never find a solution. Of course, if we start now, we will find a solution within the next years. And that's why we were, despite the fact that we don't have all the answers now, but we are optimistic and truthfully saying 2030 we strive to have a carbon neutral car on the road that leaves the factory gate with that zero footprint.
Do you want that it should be a standard that people, that other producers should be transparent?
I really believe that it would be helpful to establish a standard for each and every car producer to have a life cycle assessment, a clear idea about this wheel-to-well, how you actually make a standard available for the customer, so that as a customer there is comparability. When we released the LCA for the Polestar 2, we actually were very much transparent about this is how we got to these numbers. We were displaying it in order to make it possible for others to pick it up and to establish a standard.
Was that a hard thing to do?
No, it's not a hard thing to do. We actually really invite others to use it and do it. And we still are in talks with other car companies to talk about this standard and really strive for it and achieve a common standard here. And we still have the hope that we will align on that. I think that the awareness and the idea that generally you in your life become much more aware of your personal CO2 footprint. And whatever you do in life, buying clothes, how you heat your house, how you drive your car, that you actually become much more aware, not only about the price, what it costs, but as well what is the CO2 burden, what is
that's a new trend.
It's definitely a new thing, and amazing to think that there are even EV stations where you charge your car which are not fed by sustainable energy. It's a surprise rather to think that that is at all existing, but indeed that unfortunately, especially in other countries, is still a point. And if you go to certain countries, it's even hard to find as an EV driver EV charging stations that are clearly providing green energy.